Welcome to the Explainer. Have you ever wondered how you can teach an AI about your company's private data or, stuff that literally just happened yesterday? Well, today we're diving into exactly that. We're going to look at how you can make your AI way smarter by giving it new specialized knowledge. All right, so here's the game plan. We're going to kick things off by really defining the problem. Then we'll explore two totally different ways to solve it, and we'll wrap up with a super practical guide to help you pick the right approach for whatever you're building. Okay, let's get right into it. Before we can talk about the solutions, we first need to get a really clear picture of the core limitation we're all trying to get around. So here's the deal. As powerful as large language models are, they are definitely not all-knowing. Their knowledge is basically frozen in time, based on whenever they were trained. And that creates this critical knowledge gap. It's a blind spot for two huge things. Private information, like your company's internal files, and recent information, basically anything that's happened since the model's last training. So how do we fill this gap, right? Especially without having to retrain a massive, expensive model from the ground up. Well, the answer is pretty cool. We give the AI a temporary cheat sheet right when it needs it. And for this, we've got two brilliant techniques. The first is RAG, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation, and the second is CAG, or Cache Augmented Generation. They both work by kind of secretly boosting the user's prompt with extra info on the fly. This lets the model give a much more informed answer without actually changing its core programming at all. Okay, so now let's put these two methods in a head-to-head matchup. This is going to help us really nail down the crucial differences between them and, more importantly, figure out when you'd want to use one over the other. And right here, you can see the fundamental difference. Think of RAG as a super smart librarian. It goes out and finds only the most related data for your question. CAG, on the other hand, well, it's more of a brute force approach. It just grabs all the data that could possibly be relevant. So RAG is way more efficient and targeted, while CAG is simpler. But, and this is a big but, CAG can be really inefficient and risks stuffing your prompt with a lot of irrelevant junk, especially when you're working with big data sets. So let's break down the CAG workflow. A user asks a question. The system then queries some data store, could be a database, a folder of documents, whatever, and it grabs the entire data set. Then it injects all of that stuff behind the scenes into the prompt before sending the whole package to the AI. It's super direct, very straightforward, but you can probably see the catch, right? This really only works well for small, focused data sets. If you try this with a massive knowledge base, you're going to run into trouble real fast. RAG. Now, this is where things get a bit more sophisticated. It takes the user's question, but instead of grabbing everything, it first sends the question to an embedding model. This model's job is to turn the question into a special mathematical code that captures its meaning. It then uses that code to search a special vector database to find and pull out only the most relevant snippets of data to add to the prompt. The real magic behind RAG is this thing called vector embeddings. Seriously, this is cool. Think of them like numerical fingerprints for meaning. By turning text into these vectors, which are just lists of numbers, we can actually use math to find concepts that are semantically or thematically close, even if they don't use the exact same words. It's pretty amazing. But what if you don't want to just give your AI some notes for a test? What if you want to actually send it to school to learn a completely new skill or to adopt a whole new personality? Well, that requires a core rewire. And that brings us to our third method, which is really in a category all its own. While RAG and CAG are doing in-context learning, adding temporary info, fine-tuning is a form of model altering. It permanently, and I mean permanently, changes the AI model itself. The way fine-tuning works is you take a pre-trained base model and you just keep training it, but on a much smaller specific dataset. This isn't about giving it new facts for one answer. It's about actually adjusting the model's internal weights and biases to specialize its behavior, its style, or its tone for good. Now, here's the trade-off. Fine-tuning is a big investment. It needs a really carefully prepared dataset and a lot of computing power, which makes it way more costly and complex than our other options. So there we have it. 3 really powerful options. You've got the simple brute force of CAG, the intelligent search of RAG, and the permanent transformation of fine-tuning. So how in the world do you decide which one is right for your project? Honestly, picking the right method really just boils down to your specific needs. As you can see, CAG is your simplest option, and it's best for small, self-contained datasets where you need the whole context every single time. RAG is that versatile sweet spot in the middle, perfect for efficiently digging through huge knowledge bases for specific facts.
And while fine-tuning is definitely the most complex and resource-hungry, it is the only way to truly teach a model a new skill or a deeply ingrained style, instead of just feeding it temporary info.
Okay, let's do a quick recap. You're going to choose CAG, the full cache, when your situation is totally self-contained. Think about summarizing a single meeting transcript or working with a small product manual where all the info is always relevant. You'll go with RAG, the smart retriever, when you're dealing with serious scale. This is your go-to for building things like a big corporate Q&A bot that needs to sift through thousands of documents to find one specific, accurate answer, and do it fast. And finally, you're going to pick fine-tuning the core rewire, when your whole goal is to change the model's fundamental behavior. We're not talking about facts here, we're talking about skills. For example, teaching a model to always respond in a specific format, like JSON, or to adopt the unique communication style of your brand. These tools give us this incredible, unprecedented control to move beyond these general-purpose AIs and create true specialists. And that leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought. Now that we can upgrade AI with custom knowledge and skills, what will we teach them to become?